Hey Trail Life family, I just wanted to show you something about hammock underquilts that you might find useful. This is my head side by the zipper at the dip. This is my head side, and you can see that my hammock comes with a quilt clip right at the dip, and there's other quilt clips on up that I feel are of limited usefulness close to the top, but I don't really even use those. I'm not sure if that's but anyways, this one right here is fairly critical because this is right where basically where your shoulder ends up being, shoulder and or head. Usually my head is maybe a little further up, my shoulder is pretty close to this particular quilt clip, and so kind of this point and then the opposite point where my feet are the two quilt clips that I actually use, and they kind of serve to position the underquilt to where it is always under me. If you don't clip these here and there by your feet and head, then you'll find that the underquilt will slide under you, and you'll have to kind of reach out and reposition it or try to pull it up through the hammock. Now, a lot of the really nice quilts will come with something to where you can clip it on. You would think that you could clip the hook right onto the shock cord suspension, but even if you get it on there, it tends to just pull right out. So that did not work for me. So what I did was I actually sewed a very small, probably 1.5 inch long piece of grosgrain ribbon on to just give me a loop to then run a piece of shock cord through. And I just wanted shock cord so it would stretch a little bit. I don't suppose you would have to use shock cord though. And so you could probably just splice yourself a. Now the shock cord, I don't know how big this shock cord is, but there's a certain size that will fit into your quilt clip, and it won't really fall out even if you stuff it into your backpack. So that's the benefit of using properly sized cord, is that it will stay in the clip, it won't fall out on its own. So if you found some maybe the thicker zinget might work. I don't think amp steel, I don't think the 7/64 would be too big. So, and then the 1.75 millimeter zinget, I think that would just fall out. So this shock cord, this is probably an 1/8. It's probably 1/8 inch shock cord, could be 3/32, but that is kind of seems like the right size. So here, one. Now this is the quilt. I laid in it a few times and had my son help me kind of position this, but it's pretty close to a foot down this heat seeker quilt. This is the hang tight. This is the heat seeker 20-degree quilt. I think the dimensions on his other 40-degree quilt are the same. So coming down about a foot, maybe. Yeah, it's really close to a foot, and it can kind of flex a little bit, so it's not going to matter super much exactly how far you come down, but you just want a little bit more beyond where the shoulder is, to insulate your head. So coming a foot down or so and sewing a loop on. I did it with a machine, and you just got to make really sure not to sew through the actual shock cord right at the top here. So if you just stay down here, there's plenty of space. I chose to keep this real tight to the suspension, just because I didn't want to add a lot of extra height here by the time I was done tying the loop. So I made that tight, and then I made the loop about as small as I could kind of reasonably get it. Probably could have made it a little smaller. So I just did kind of an overhand knot, and the shock cord, when you pull it tight, it kind of binds itself. It tends to stay put. I think I melted the ends of the shock cord there to just keep them from fraying. So there, I'll show you the other side over here by the foot, but it's exactly the same. Although it looks like, I came a little bit further down. That one is clearly about 14, 15, 16 inches even maybe from the end of that one. So what I probably did, I got my hammock hung the way I wanted it to. I laid in it the way I liked. and I figured out where my feet went, and then I marked a mark on the underquilt where you know, next to where these quilt clips were located, and then I sewed these things on. And then whenever I'm installing the quilt, I hook these on, and that stays like that for the duration of my trip. It just stays installed. I'm going to install secondary suspensions to help pull this side out a little more, and the side by the head pull that side out a little bit more. And those secondary suspensions would come up here and attach to my quilt clip. Right now, this piece of Zing-It, this fast shackle quilt clip, is just supporting the main suspension that allows this to freely move. It's just the stretchy, hold it up suspension. But then the pull it forward suspension, the hang tight quilts don't come with that. You'd have to sew yourself on a piece. Like you could do another little loop right here and add a piece of less stretchy cord. I'd probably use Zing-It or the 1mm Z line or whatever. With I'd put a piece of grow grain with an actual line lock quick adjuster, and then you could just tighten it here. You could have a loop right here. Anyways, that's my thoughts. This really helps. If you don't have this, the quilt will slip under you in the night, and you'll get cold, and then you'll have to pull it up. So you need to figure out some way to do this. So again, I probably have, if you stretch it out, I'm sure it is probably 16 to 18 inches down there. And then on the head end, on the head side, stretched out, it's probably, looks like about 12 to 13 inches from that end. So hang it, see how you like it, mark these spots, and then figure out a way to get this on here.